supporters to attack their opponents. In all that Trump said, he never alluded to anything that will make his own supporters physically attack Clinton's supporters. So their supporters knew that America was bigger than the ambition of either presidential candidate. So Nigerian politicians should also learn to teach their own supporters that Nigeria is bigger than whatever ambition they have.
Well, you've talked about the lessons Nigerian politicians could learn from the way it's done in the United States, but then in Nigerian politics, I doubt very much if we've seen that sort of very strong rhetoric used in politics. I mean, a lot of times it's all about, dancing and, maybe poking fun at the opposition, but then, bringing out this sort of dirt that Trump and Clinton try to bring out on each other. I'm not very sure we've seen that sort of thing in Nigeria.
We've seen worse. Because
we've seen violence. What about,
even in terms of
in terms of mudslinging?
I'm saying even in terms of mudslinging, because it is in this country that the presidential candidate was said to be brain dead. It is in this country that people were being described in terms of their religion, and in terms of, their supporters saying that Nigeria will be no more. They will separate, or they will do this. So bringing in religion, bringing in tribe and all that. In this country, we have had, even in the First Republic, if you recall, people in rallies, we are saying in political rallies in the First Republic. So we've had Muslims, but you need to go down memory lane, need to go into history. We've had wars in this country. And the problem is that because of the level of the education of the voters, when politicians speak here, we tend to translate their speeches into violence. In the United States, when politicians speak, they do a lot of jaw instead of war. So the voters are more enlightened. They tend to reduce all this into arguments, verbal warfare. So at the end of the day, you don't see people shooting themselves. So I think we've had worse situations, because when you cling on to your fault lines, especially religion and tribe, it's worse than Trump saying that the woman is nasty, she will go to prison. That's not too big. In any case, at the end of the day, they reverted into giving you economic analysis. Somebody saying, I don't believe in the Trans-Pacific Partnership Agreement. I will not engage with it. So you now know the direction. But in this country, everything can be covered under change, that we will change the way things are done, or that we will maintain the status quo, or that. So at the end of the day, it is when the government comes into power that you actually begin to know what the government will do. In the case of the United States of America, you now know the way Trump will go in the relationship of that country with Japan, with South Korea. In the case of Clinton, you know the way she will go. In economic matters, you know the way which each of them will go. In the case of Nigeria, when it was PDP, APC, so much dancing, like you said, at the end of the day, you will find it difficult to take anything away. All the issue of concerning borrowing, you won't hear of it. Issue of feeding, when you hear of it, after election, somebody may wake up and say, we never say so. So the whole thing is cloudy in this environment.
Well, you've talked about issues of ethnicity and religion, dividing our own politics here. But then, is it not the same sentiments Mr. Trump has been playing up? He has talked about ethnicity. Clearly hostile towards Hispanics and probably African Americans or black, so to say. Of course, we've also heard anti-Islamic rhetoric on his part as well. So, I mean, what's the difference here?
The difference, there's a thin line of difference, because in the case of Trump, he was talking about Mexico. That's another country. So it's like a presidential candidate here talking about Niger Republic or talking about Benin Republic. Take it as one. I did not hear Trump truncate the fate of African Americans. I did not hear that one. I know he said he will do religious profiling.
Maybe not African Americans, but of course he talked about Africans in America.
No, he talked about illegal immigrants.
Okay.
He didn't talk about Africans as endangered species, but illegal immigrants. So
from Africa.
Not just from Africa. I mean, whether Africa or not Africa. So you know the GOP, they have a policy of being hostile to immigrants. And that's why in most elections, these immigrants vote for the Democrats. And it is not new that Democrats are more friendlier to immigrants than the GOP. It is the pungency with which Trump delivered the message that matters. Recall that the GOP was so much against Obamacare. Trump is against Obamacare. So Trump has not actually done something quite, what the GOP wants, except for delivery. And certain things that real politicians would have covered up, Trump came out blasting, smoking. So his manner of delivery is terrible. And in any case, you are right. By the time he began to speak, he spoke about Muslims. He went beyond the board. He ought not to have done so. But in any case, he was speaking to a more enlightened society. People who could take issues and debate over them. Here, we use our matches and guns to debate. So if you may use the same rhetorics in this country, you will see arson everywhere. Communities will be burned down. But communities have not been burned down in the United States of America. So you look at the literacy rate in the United States of America, very high. The literacy rate here, very low. So in this type of climb, we should even mark what politicians say. Because if you use 1/3 of the rhetorics that Trump has used in this country, you leave the country burning. We didn't use much before we had the Second Republic, Omobori saga. So I think we have a lot to learn from by perhaps making education more liberal so that we have a more liberal society that can debate even our fault lines.
Now let's talk about U.S.-Nigeria relations. When President Obama won the election in 2008, now there was so much joy and celebration in Africa because we thought that since one of our own, was going to be in the White House, then all the problems of Africa will be over. I think it's safe to say that that assertion has been proven wrong.
Yeah, right.
So now that we are expecting a new U.S. government, be it a Clinton presidency, be it a Trump presidency, what can Nigeria and Africa expect from the incoming government?
I think if it is Clinton, Nigeria stands a better chance than Trump, because Trump has a phobia, and that phobia may not favor Nigeria. I see Clinton maintaining the status quo. Obama has a very robust relationship with Nigeria. So Clinton will want to maintain it. But if the thing goes in favor of Trump, then Nigeria has to be prepared for the worst, because Trump, like I say, has a phobia.
Now, Mr. Shobo, let me ask you, do you agree that Nigeria will fare better with a Clinton presidency? The reason why I'm saying this is, throughout his time in office, President Obama never visited Nigeria, who supposedly is the big brother of Africa, despite the fact that he visited some other African countries. Why do you think he avoided Nigeria, and how can Nigeria make herself more attractive to the West?
Well, first, let me just address what my brother raised about rhetoric here before I answer that question. I think what Trump was saying was actually as dangerous as the situation here as well. Because